Oh, welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since we did one of these. We definitely we're going to be a little out of practice and a little rusty, so bear with us. I know we originally had posted that this would be Kevin and I. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, depending how you want to look at it, Kevin's a little under the weather. But really, I think we upgraded. We got Mark instead. So at the end of the day, it's like Kevin on steroids. It's great.
I wish, man.
We are,
especially the brain of Kevin is 10 times better than mine, maybe 100. That guy's incredible.
yeah, but look at your hair. But look at your hair. You got hair.
I've got hair.
So yeah, like I said, we're a little out of practice, so just bear with us. And I'm having to do double duty today, hosting, kind of being the MC, and doing everything else. So we're just gonna get 3 really quick polls. There's a lot of people still coming in, so let me just launch these polls real quick. These are really tough ones. Here's your first one. Is this your first time attending one of our webinars? It's pretty simple. It's a yes or not my first rodeo. Oh, look at that, eh? So, wow. Now we definitely got some newbies here. Looks like about 3/4 have attended before. So for those, welcome back. For the new people who haven't attended one of our webinars before, we're glad you're here. Let's give that a couple seconds. And we'll close that one. And then, this is a nice, easy one too. Are you currently installing JCI products? It's a yes or a not yet. Notice that we don't have a no. It's a not yet. All right. As expected, about 92% of you are currently installing JCI products, which is awesome. We very much appreciate the opportunity to be your preferred provider, we'll say. And we'll close that one, and one more, nice easy one. Did you attend ISC West this year? It's a yes or a no. We had about 40,000 of our closest friends walking around the show. It was quite the experience for sure. So we'll just leave that. So about 86% did not attend ISC West. Well, I think you're going to be, you'll be pleasantly surprised with what some of the things we announced at ISC this year. So I'm just going to close that poll off. What else do we have there? Housekeeping wise, if you don't know where, drop them into the questions chat. Questions, you can let us know where you're calling from. We always love to hear from everybody. What else we got? Oh, we're going to give away some water valves. So at the end of the webinar, we'll randomly select, I don't know, what do you feel like, Mark? 10 people?
Let's do 3.
Oh, come on, 5?
5?
5. We'll give away 5 water valves. So at the end of this show, at the end of this webinar, we'll randomly pick 5. You'll receive an email from me just for your shipping information. And we're looking forward to having those sent out to you and getting some feedback. But other than that, I think, Mark, you're, let me see if I can
just one other
remember how to share my screen.
One other quick housekeeping item is just, coming up also over the next 3 weeks. So we're going to have additional webinars. So, we haven't had them for a little while. We took a little break, but, next Thursday, following Thursday after that, we'll be going over what? DSC Connect.
IQ installer.
And then it's a Power G automation.
And PG automation. Hey, Joel, Joel's in the background taking all of your questions. He's helping us out. Joel, can you confirm you can actually see the screen? Because I can't for some reason.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I can see it too. So.
Funny though, I'm sharing it and I can't see it. All right.
What percentage of people said they did go to ISC?
14%.
14%. Awesome. So the majority of the people on here were not at ISC West, and that's why you're here. It's the ISC recap. And man, ISC West for me, I've been going out there for over a decade, 15, 16 years, who knows how long. 2006, I think, was my first time. But it's a great time, and if you ever have the opportunity to go, take advantage of it. You get to rub shoulders with a lot of people in the industry. When you've been going forever, it's almost like a security family reunion is what I feel like. And You know, you see so many people that you just end up seeing every year, and you only see them at ISC West, and it's kind of cool to catch up. But this first slide here was us as a group, the JCI team, some of the TSMs, the TAMs. You got even Travis up there and Jonathan Jennings. We call him our Labrador.
Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever. That guy's incredible. And this is just us setting up. You know, you got Jason there. He's the one kind of hunched over, making sure everything looks level. You know, handsome man. And so when we get down there, we show up a day early, 2 days early, some of us, like Neil, and we get everything set up with the booths, off-floor stuff, and get it looking good. And then we got to get it all programmed. And then once it's up and looking good, this is what it looks like. This next slide here.
Yeah, if I have my mouse on the right screen.
Push
There we go.
There we go. So this is our booth, really cool looking booth. You know, we have the all of our wireless alarms on one thing, on one wall. Then it said flexible automation. You know, this was getting into our Z-Wave, or, you know, and we'll kind of get into this, I guess, in the webinar, so I don't really need to talk on this, but this is what our booth looked like. Just a really cool looking booth, large. We actually share this booth with the ACBS side of our Johnson Controls business. So this was our side, the security products. And man, it was such a great time. Like you said, to have, you know, about 40,000 people down there that you're seeing over a couple days, that's pretty incredible. You got to wash your hands a lot and stuff since you're around so many people. Try not to get sick. Take your echinacea, and stay strong. Anything you'd add to this?
No, I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, it's a great time, you know, and, you know, like Mark said, I would encourage everybody, if you've never gone to ISC, you should really find the time and get down there. It is, it's quite the experience for sure. I think Mark and I both were like 140 or 150,000 steps through the week. So definitely a little tired by the end of it, but it's just an amazing opportunity to meet the team in person, you know, and see what we're doing and what we're developing. So
Exactly. And that's probably the best part, is seeing what we're doing, what's coming out. As Neil mentioned, what are we developing? Part of that is software. So, you know, a lot of times you might think of us as, hey, we put products out, but another whole half of what we do is new software, and how do we innovate and how do we make things better through software. So part of what we'll go over today and what we were announced at ISC West is some of our software updates and what we're coming out with to improve the panel and make things better through software, and not only through new devices.
Yep. You know, so most of you have seen this before, but you know, this is kind of the revised one platform, you know, view. You know, obviously we have IQ Panel 4 right there in the middle. It's flagship, you know, and you know, it's our flagship panel, and you can go up or downstream, right? So IQ Panel 4 is good for, you know, if you look at it from a residential builder, solar, energy standpoint, or commercial builder, SMB, or, you know, K-12 schools. You know, and then what we've done is we go left, right? So we're bringing you IQ Hub, that value touchscreen. You know, definitely, you know, you can use this as an automation only play. And I think, you know, Mark's going to have a slide coming up talking, you know, specifically about some of the different SKUs and some of the different, you know, features that we've introduced over the last few months. And I think a lot of it's, you know, going to be exciting for people. We go upstream, obviously, you know, you've got IQ Pro. You know, definitely, you know, residential, commercial, campuses, SMB, you know, schools. Again, you know, it's really, you know, the brawn of a Neo and, you know, the brain of an IQ panel. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. And some people haven't even seen it, but it's the IQ NS, right? So this is the IQ 4 NS. You know, we spent millions of dollars, you know, in advertising trying to come up with a name for it. So NS just literally stands for no screen. But it's, you know, it's kind of that, you know, again, automation only play, you know, places that people don't even, you know, need or want a keypad or an interface. They're only going to, you know, use their app to arm or disarm the system. You know, NS, you know, kind of covers that, you know, that entire, you know, different business model, right? So, you know, you can kind of go, again, right? You can look at it as a good, better, best. You can look at it a lot of different ways. But, you know, the great thing between NS Hub and IQ Panel 4 and IQ Pro is that same brain inside, right? It is the IQ 4 motherboard and processor. nothing's changed. It's the same processing power, the same LTE, the same Wi-Fi, and the same everything.
One thing I like about this every application is that even though you have a lot of flexibility there, we still make it so all these panels are UL listed for commercial, commercial Berg. So all the way down from the IQNS up to the IQ Pro, you do have flexibility. If you want to use even an IQNS in a small business for some reason, they just want it in the closet and have maybe touch screens out, or they don't even have touch screens, they're just using their phone. They could do that in a commercial situation or in an apartment complex. So you've got a lot of flexibility.
Exactly. So one of the big things we talked about at ISC was, our upcoming software release, or major software release, being 4.5.0. So 4.5 is coming right now at the end of May. It might be the first week in June, but right now it's either the last week of May, first week of June. We're just working on the timing. The main things, and there's obviously, every time we do a software update, there's a lot of, new features, benefits, things that we can do, but highlight wise, 4.5.0 introduces support for the soon to be released IQ keypad, which is in beta right now. And Mark's going to talk about IQ keypad a little later. We've had a lot of feedback about, Power G automation and, the locks specifically, and having to create scenes as opposed to regular rules, like you can do with, I'm going to have some fun here with Z-Wave for the Canadians, or Z-Wave for the Americans. So in 4.5.0, we bring what we would call Z-Wave parity, right? So we will have the ability for local rules. You're not having to use scenes. That's one of the things that Z-Wave, the way Z-Wave was implemented originally, is the rules are obviously created on alarm.com, but they're also stored locally on the panel, right? So if you have a delay, cellular delay, Wi-Fi delay, whatever the case is, some of those Power G rules would be potentially impacted 10 seconds or something like that. So in 4.5.0, we bring local rules directly to the panel, right? So any Z-Wave rules, any Power G rules automatically are local on the panel. We've introduced with our partners at alarm.com the ability for photo frame screensaver images. So as a dealer, you can select 5 images, upload them to alarm.com. You take responsibility for what you upload to alarm.com, and then they'll actually send it to your panel. So you can send those directly from the alarm.com dealer portal. We heard feedback. People wanted better naming options for heat because they do, especially the Power G heat that's released in the US, the 9936H. It was kind of coming up as a smoke detector all the time because it uses the same prefix. So then people were having to back out, retype it, a lot of work there. So now you'll actually have naming options when you enroll it, where you'll see, garage smoke, garage heat, master bedroom smoke, master bedroom heat. So you won't have to retype everything all out. What people are super excited for is dark mode. So I'll show you that momentarily. So dark mode comes in 4.5.0. One of the, the greatest feedbacks we've received since we launched IQ Pro and IQNS is how much people love IQ Installer. All right, they just love the functionality, the flexibility of it. So we heard you. So in 4.5.0, IQ Installer is now available for all of those panels: NS, IQ4 Hub, and IQ Panel 4. So we'll show you how that works. And again, based on your feedback, there was, people would love to see the ability to swap devices as opposed to delete devices. So we'll be able to show, I'll be able to show you that momentarily too, right? So this is dark mode, right? It's really this simple. We're going to go into settings, we're going to go display, we're going to turn on dark mode. It's really, we made it super difficult.
It's so basic, but this is such a basic thing, but it's honestly, it's one of those things where it's like my phone, I use dark mode. My laptop, I use dark mode. It's easier on the eyes, and just depending on your setting, your situation, I think it looks pretty awesome. So it's a little thing, but look at that. I mean, it looks awesome.
I think it looks great. Everything just pops on the screen.
Exactly.
So that's dark mode, right? So that is coming in 4.5.0. This is device swap, right? Again, right? So you can go into settings, and so normally where you would see delete device, you'll now see a new option that says delete or swap. So if you have something with the same prefix, so if you were taking, a door contact as an example, or in this case, a temp sensor, as long as the prefix is 250, you could change the last 4 digits and hit swap. So you don't have to delete it, you don't have to rename it. So this is in the event of that, device replacement you need to do. It's really as simple as that. You just go in and, you know, instead of delete, swap, right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, so again, we mentioned IQ Installer is coming. So and so easy to activate. You literally are settings, advanced settings, IQ Installer. You don't have to press any buttons. As soon as you tap that, the QR code is going to show up on the screen. You scan it with IQ Installer, the panel will go into pairing mode immediately. You know, one of the great things with IQ Installer is the ability to be not tied to the touchscreen. Right, you can walk around the house, you can learn those devices at their final installation location. You're not having to go and retamper stuff. It's just there. So IQ Installer is, you know, we're super excited to see this. I think people are going to be pretty happy. If you haven't used IQ Installer on IQ Pro or IQ NS, we'll encourage you to use it on IQ4 and or IQ4 Hub, and I think you'll be pretty impressed with it.
And for those that haven't seen it, what it is it just makes the UI of the panel appear on your phone. So we launched it with the IQ Pro, with the NS, the no screen, and it was awesome. You go out, you program it, you can walk out to a device, learn it in, just you have your phone there as the UI, save it, whatever, name it. And that was the feedback right away was, well, what about the IQ4? What about the IQ4 Hub? Can we do it on that? And it was like, okay, not yet, but you know, we hear you. You know, voice of the customer, we love your feedback, and you know, not too much later, now here it is. So this is awesome.
Yeah, and it's good from a training standpoint, right? Like, you know, if you know, you're training one UI across every platform, right? So, you know, when Joel does a big deep dive on IQ Installer, I think in a couple of weeks, he's got a very engaging presentation, and I think it's going to open some eyes as far as, you know, how many different things we have to know, right, to be able to program different panels. I'm not going to steal Joel's thunder, but it's pretty good. I like it.
I love it. All right, we heard you on this one. You know, over the years we launched our panel, and you know, originally when we went to the what we say dual SRF, meaning Power G and a legacy daughter card, that was something that kind of made us different. You know, hey, every panel you have, it's going to have, you know, Power G, and then you choose one of your legacy frequencies in our flagship panel. And that's how we kind of went to business, and it kind of made us different. It allowed us to have the power of Power G, which is incredible, but still have a legacy radio to do takeovers, or maybe if you're even using them. And then in our hub, you would just only have a single security radio frequency. So you would select one of those cards, Power G or a legacy one. But we started getting feedback, hey, why couldn't you make it more modular? Instead of having to choose a panel, like a flavor of panel, we'd say, like a 319 panel with Power G, could you guys come out with daughter cards that we could swap? And we finally, it's here. We've announced it, we've launched it, and here you see, you know, the first card there, IQ card 319 with the part number, the 433, the 345. And so on, Power G down below. And then we even, for that expansion slot that you see in the middle of our flagship panel, the IQ4, that's where you put the Zigbee card or the Ethernet card if you need that hardwired internet connection. Or even on the IQ4 hub, you can put that Zigbee card over on the right side. So, and then we got a couple of kind of examples here I want to talk about, just how to use this modularity platform. You know, we originally launched the NS single security radio frequency, same as the hub, and then the IQ4 was Power G, and then you had a legacy card. Now you have the option that you could go to business and you could actually just go with one of these cards. You can purchase the panel with one, or with the IQ NS, maybe you're going in there with a security radio frequency, and then you need to add Z-Wave, or you want to add the Power G card. You're hitting different price points. You kind of gives you the options to have what modularity, to have, you know, save some money if you don't need a card. You can just take it out. And you can do that with the NS, the hub, or the 4, where maybe you're starting with just automation only, like a builder situation. And then later on, if they upgrade, decide they want security, then you're adding in the security radio, you know, legacy or Power G. Real world, if you look at the back of the panel on this next slide here, you know, all of our panels do ship with what we'd call Z-Wave. So Z-Wave is on the board. It's down there on that bottom left side. So you're getting your Z-Wave just built into the panel. This is, our Z-Wave Plus, double the range, all that good stuff. But a lot of times you might be going into a home and, you just have let's say you want to go in with Power G. Those are the sensors you carry on your truck. Now you got your Power G there with the panel. And you could just say, hey, all of our panels are only going to have the Power G card, be it the hub, be it the IQ4. And then when we run into a situation maybe where, hey, they have existing legacy sensors. So that could be your legacy Qualsys or GE Interlogic sensors, the 319, the 345 Honeywell or 2 gig or 433. Then you can go and pick one of those cards out and just, put it inside the panel. And it's kind of like a takeover module in a way that's just built into the panel. Since it's native to the panel, meaning built right there on top of the motherboard or pushed in, now you can take over like safety. So a lot more options than you'd have, and a lot, higher quality and an easier way to do it than using maybe a takeover module that's, wireless takeover module of a different sort. And then this here is that expansion slot. I mentioned those 2 cards earlier. We've got the Ethernet card. You run into certain situations, it could be commercial, where they require that Ethernet connection, or you might get into some of those homes, areas, or even a high-end home where they're kind of worried maybe about Wi-Fi jamming or something like that, and they want that hard Ethernet connection. And this is your option. Plug that card in, get that direct connection with the internet. You don't have to worry about the Wi-Fi connection. So a lot of options you have here now with our panel and with this modularity of these cards. And then this here, I mentioned earlier, we always talk about the different products we have, and Neil kind of touched on the software of the IQ4. And this is our software for the IQ Pro. It's the 4.30N software. This was recently released, but this is a big part of what we do. It's exciting for us is, hey, we've made these products, we've made these panels and these platforms. How do we make them better? And a big part of that is feedback from meeting with people like you, sitting down, getting that feedback, the voice of the customer, and then we share that with our engineers, the product team. We meet with alarm.com twice a week, and we go over these things that we want to add to the panel. So some of the things we've added recently in this latest major software update for the IQ Pro is, support for the Power G locks and Power G automation devices. And I'll touch on those a little bit later, but incredible lock, really cool automation devices that have incredible range. So we've added that in April. We added support for the Power G Plus devices that are going to be coming out down the road. We added support for the Prox tags on supported keypads. That's including the IQ keypad, the new one. If it has the Prox, it'll have a little circle on it. More key switch arm and disarm configurations, more PGM rules. We added the support for this IQ keypad. Added non-bypassable zone attributes. We added new cross zoning capability. And these are also things that we added to the IQ Pro in April, and now that's going to be added to the IQ4 on 450 at the end of the month or beginning of June. We added the temperature display on the LCD keypads, and then we added support for the alarm.com Flex IO sensors. So some really awesome things we're doing with the IQ Pro is making it better and making it work with our full portfolio of devices through software updates.
Yep. Well, now you guys are stuck listening to me for like 7 slides. If you haven't used this, this is still one of my favorite products we've released, I'd say in the last, 3 years, I guess it's been. It's funny, I wish Travis was on the call. In my past life, Travis, promised me this module. We're talking like 6 years ago. He's like, we're going to have this Power G takeover module. I'm like, that's awesome. And then I joined JCI and I'm like, hey, when's that thing coming? He's like, we're going to start developing it right now. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it is, it's the Power G hardwire to wireless module. You'll hear it called W2W. You'll hear it called IQ hardwire Power G. But realistically, this is the ultimate hybrid updating takeover. I mean, you can call it so many different things, right? It comes in two housings, the PG9 HRD and the PG9 WLS. Don't get on us. We didn't come up with the names. Like, we would have called it something entirely different. But that's a large housing, and we'll call it the large housing and the small housing. The large housing has room for 4 zone expanders built into it. So you could put easily 40 zones in that cabinet, 8 on the board, and then 4 zone expanders. The smaller one, 2 zone expanders is probably, there is spot for 2. It's a little tight. It's a little tight in the smaller housing. Again, if you haven't used it, again, you can use 2 of these on any IQ system, including IQ Pro, right? So having that ability for that, think of it this way too. I mean, it's a wireless zone expander, right? You don't have to home run everything back to your IQ Pro or your, anywhere else. You can just pop this over and it talks by Power G, right? We've added some more flexible programmable output options. This thing does have a dedicated siren output. It has a dedicated 2-wire smoke loop. So if you haven't done this, I mean, reach out to your local salesperson, reach out to your local TAM, get more details on it. Like, this is a game changer, right? I don't think a lot of people realize just how much flexibility that this module brings, to any situation, right? And it really is the best of both worlds, right? It's giving you the ability for hardwired and Power G, right, so to speak.
I mean, it's definitely when I first got into hardwire takeover modules, these were kind of a little smaller. I mean, I almost felt like Mickey Mouse type products. Man, I ran into issues all the time with the batteries and this and that, service tickets. I mean, this is something that I feel like is such a high quality hardwire takeover module and does so much. It's just a really cool device. I mean, all those options you have, programmable outputs on a hardwire takeover, that's pretty awesome. The smokes.
And I think the best thing with the PGMs is they're stackable, right? Like, you can use the same PGM. I think we ran, I don't think there's a limit, but I ran out of ideas at like 17 or 18. I'm like, I can't think of anything else to make this thing do. But that's what's really cool, is you can stack rules on a PGM, right? So you can have it do lots of different things.
And a cool option, one that I just saw, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Austin with a dealer, and they brought up, man, we put one of these in a gas station, and then we had the PGM run a strobe light in the freezer, so that if somebody's working in the freezer and the front door open, the strobe light would go off to let them know somebody walked in the store. I was like, it's pretty cool. There's so many things you can do with it.
Yep, very much so. So some of you are going to be like, what are they talking about Power Series Neo for? So if you don't know, Power Series Neo is, we'll call it our, it's a long range suitable, for residential commercial sites. It's up to 120, hardwired zones or Power G zones, 8 partitions, 1,000 user codes. It can talk on alarm.com. It can talk to Connect 24, and it also talks to the DSC Connect app, which we'll talk about in the DSC Connect module. Customizable end of line. We could talk about all the rundown of the features, but I'm not reading them to you. The reason we're talking about Neo and we're bringing this up is again, voice of customer, we've heard the feedback. So Neo is going to go through a refresh, right? So we are going to be doing a refresh over the next, we'll say the next year, which will bring a lot of things, again, hearing your voice and your feedback, a lot of the cool stuff that we've been able to do on the IQ platform. We'll be able to start adding some of that stuff to the Neo platform, right? So I know Chris Jackson's online from Toronto, and he harasses me constantly. I know he's here. I saw him in chat. Power G automation, Power G locks will come to the Power Series Neo, right? So if you haven't used Neo, it is a very, very flexible platform. Has multiple different keypad interfaces, and it's the same. We've heard the feedback, right? We discontinued Power Series Classic, Legacy, whatever you want to call it. And people want the ability to be able to put a Neo in there and still use the existing wireless 433 devices, right? So we are about, I'd say next week, the new product announcement will come out for the HSM 2164 RF. And what this is basic. I mean, it's a very simple device. We have added the ability for up to 64 zones of legacy 433 to be able to work on a Neo. So what does that mean? It's dual SRF, right? You'll have, just like we do on the IQ platform, you'll have Power G, and you're going to have 433, right? So if you want to update those legacy Power Series panels, you don't want to replace those wireless devices, you pop this module in, you can learn up to 64 of those 433 devices, and then 64 Power G devices or wired devices, whatever you're looking for. So this does require Neo firmware 1.5, which is about to be released. And it works on new Neo boards, right? So there's, once this comes out, I saw the new product announcement this morning. It's very clear. There's images. It'll work on Neo G boards, right? So we'll call it the G. I don't know why we're calling it G. It's the G revision of the Neo boards, and there'll be a sticker on there that says G. And then you'll be able to, again, go into those existing Power Series that are potentially, if you're in Canada, they're potentially 3G still, because we still have 3G for about another 9 months. You have that capability to replace that Power Series, put a Neo in, use those existing devices, and then connect it to alarm.com or connect it to Connect 24 or through DSE Connect. So we're currently in beta testing. We're just about to close beta testing, probably this week. It works flawlessly. It's a wonderful device, and again, something that you as our customer said you wanted. So.
And I love the options you have here to upgrade that system. Like you said, you could add alarm.com to it. Now you can get all the benefits from that. You go into someone's home who maybe they weren't covering an outbuilding or a garage or a shed, and you can use Power G now to really enhance that system, make it a better system. So when you're going out and doing the system upgrade, now you have options to actually do some real enhancement on somebody's the end user's current system. Add some good value.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so now you're gonna go, what is Power Series Pro? So Power Series Pro is your your commercial grade system. Again, right now it's 248 zones, 32 partitions, modular communicators, right? You can use alarm.com, you can use Connect 24. You will be able to use DSE Connect in probably, I don't know, let's say 2 months to be safe. There's onboard Ethernet on this, just like IQ Pro has it. Programmable hardwired zone resistance. I mean, triple end of line, this is, 2 amps of power. This is, the Mac Daddy, high-end commercial, you just want it to work, right? And that's why, what PSP is. Now, why are we talking about PSP? Because it's also going to go through a refresh, right? So we will finish the Neo refresh first, or probably we'll be halfway through the Neo refresh and we'll start the Power Series Pro one, but we will have both of these panels, we'll call them refresh, new processors, making them a little more powerful, we'll say. And again, Power G automation, Power G locks, all the future things. We don't have a slide on here, but one of the things that's coming, I can't believe I didn't put a slide in here, Mark, is the wireless IOG, right? So it's a wireless PGM module, right? So something that people have asked for. You'll have a Power G PGM. You'll be able to, open a garage door, open a gate, do whatever you want that you would do with a PGM. What's really cool about it is it's 2 PGMs. So it's not just one, but you actually get 2 zone inputs as well. So it's like, it's a pretty cool little device, but you get 2 zone inputs and then 2 PGMs, which will be remotely, they're Power G. So you don't have to run wires. It just saves time.
Yeah, and one thing I'm glad that you touched on the Neo and the Power Series Pro is, of course, these have been out for a while, but they are getting this refresh. But also, we have so many dealers that do already use Neo and the IQ platform, even the IQ Pro at times. They have different options. And what they love about this is they can use the Power G sensors with all of them. So on their trucks, it's just, hey, one sensor. Now we have these different options for panels. So you just really get a lot of options. And there's some people that just, maybe you haven't really looked at these or heard of them. we just, it's also, we want you to know they're out there, and we want you to know those who've been asking for it, we are doing some refreshes to improve.
I want to know if Chris said anything in chat, but I can't. I'm not touching my screens; it'll screw up. All right. So if you haven't heard of DSE Connect, DSE Connect is now available, right? So it is. How do we describe this? It's an affordable communicator that specifically was designed for the Power Series and Power Series Neo. It is a low-cost communicator. It is a low-cost app. It's a basic app, right? So we want to be crystal clear, right? This is, again, low-cost, basic remote arm and disarm. That's it. It doesn't, there's no bells and whistles. This is for that customer who literally just wants an arm and disarm. They don't want automation. They don't want anything else. That's what our partnership with alarm.com, they're the ones who have, the full features within their app, which they've done an amazing job on. And, we're super happy to be partners with them on that. But DSE Connect, again, is that low cost market, for, again, somebody who just wants to arm and disarm, right? So it's beyond simple to install. On a Neo, it's literally PC Link. You plug the PC Link into the DSE Connect module, and you plug the PC Link into the board, and you program 3 sections.
Yep.
It's really that simple. On a Power Series, it's the PC Link, and it's a core bus. So it's the red, black, yellow, green, and a PC Link, and I think it's 6 programming sections. But it's, again, right, it's 5G ready. It's dual eSIMs. So on the US version, which is the LE4050M-US, it will choose the strongest network, right? So it'll be, if it's Verizon's the strongest network, it locks to Verizon. The second backup, or dual, the dual eSIM, the second one will then lock to the other network, right? So, your primary, we'll say, is Verizon, AT&T is your backup, or AT&T is your primary and Verizon's your backup. In Canada, it's TELUS, Bell, and Rogers. It'll connect to the strongest network, the LE4050M.ca. So again, right, basic remote arming, disarm, you can check the status. You can do DLS through it. And it's, again, it's a very low cost basic communicator and app, right? So if you're interested in DSE Connect, make sure you reach out to your local sales rep. We can definitely ship you a unit to, if you want to, play around with it. But what do you got there, Mark?
As you're going to say, as you mentioned when you first kicked off on this, this is, as you said, it's a basic arm and disarm. It's low cost. You get your, remote panel programming, but we strongly value that a relationship with alarm.com. And, you're getting into all the bells and whistles that can do. We love alarm.com. They are, the leader in cloud services, but, this is kind of just that different market that they don't really touch.
Yep, that's a good point. My favorite slide of all time. And there is no play on words on the words matters, but there's no play on words.
Power G, when life matters.
Yep, exactly. All right, off to you, Mark. I get to take a break.
All right. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, he gets a break, and now you guys get to listen to me, talk about some really awesome stuff, though. And this first one is the IQ Remote Power G. If you have not used this yet, try it out. This is awesome. I mean, for years, I've been in the industry for a couple decades. Throughout those years and all the installs I would go on, it seemed like whenever there was wireless secondaries, you'd run into issues sometimes, range issues, connectivity issues, all that kind of stuff. You guys have seen it. We even with our IQ remote, if you weren't in the right situation or in a home that had good Wi-Fi, since our original IQ remote depended on a Wi-Fi connection, you could run into some issues with the Wi-Fi. And we announced this earlier this year, but this is our IQ Remote Power G. Secondary touchscreen, looks a lot like our main panel as far as being able to control your lights, locks, thermostats, your garage door. But now you got the power of Power G. What is Power G known for? Well, one is range. But the other thing is it just works. It just stays connected. You ask it to do something, it just works. And that's what people have wanted. This is, you know, like I said, this has been out for a while now, and it's had really, really huge, you know, great reviews. It has been a game changer, and it's made it where I saw so many dealers that kind of went away or shied away from secondaries, or sometimes they'd even go with like the rubber button Power G secondary, because they were just afraid of that connectivity. So this is a game changer. This has been really awesome. Once again, hey, I can put that touch screen in, you know, the master bedroom or whatnot, control, you know, have its own nighttime mode that's separate from the main panel. Looks incredible, looks really clean, and you know, just a great secondary. I do want to highlight that, you know, just so you recognize there is no camera on this. That was kind of some feedback, voice of the customer. We made some internal decisions. Hey, do we need a camera on a secondary? You know, if it's in a bedroom or something, some people, especially for privacy, would rather not have that camera. So we did get rid of the camera, but this is just a great secondary keypad, and a great option for your keypads.
Yeah, I just add to that. I mean, Mark, you nailed it. But you know, the one thing that's really different on IQ Remote Power G2 is the Wi-Fi. Like, I know we're talking about the Power G, which is obviously the right way to go. But the Wi-Fi chip and antenna design on IQ Remote Power G is greatly, and I will say greatly improved, you know, from the original IQ Remote. So you do, you know, if you want to connect by Wi-Fi, you can. You know, the one advantage of, you know, connected by Wi-Fi is you do get video streaming. You can have video streaming on Power G, but if you need that video streaming, you know, pair it by Wi-Fi, you're not going to be disappointed, right? They are super stable on Wi-Fi and obviously on Power G.
And then as far as how many can you use on one system, well, if you did want to go max it out, you could do up to 5 Power G keypads to one system. And then is it 2 or 3? 3 over Wi-Fi?
3, yeah, 3 on Wi-Fi, so 8.
So 8 total. And you could mix and match that also with this next keypad. This is our IQ keypad featuring, once again, it's Power G. So this is Power G only. You know, it's the same form factor, that familiar form factor that you get with the IQ4 panel, the IQNS, IQ Hub, same bezels and whatnot, but just very clean. You know, once you touch it, the lights turn on. But this is Power G again. So this is more of a low-cost keypad. You know, don't have the LCD screen, but more for just arming and disarming. I think this is great if it's just, hey, it's a downstairs, you know, back entrance or something, side entrance I'm using, and I just need it. I'm just going to be using it to arm and disarm the panel. This is perfect. Like I said, this works with our IQNS, IQ Hub, IQ4, and the IQ Pro. And once again, you can mix and match this with the IQ Remote Power G and program up to 5 of them to the panel, and that's connecting over Power G. Also has a 3-year battery life. So, you know, a lot of that newer technology we use, the way we're sending information, being a lot smarter, sending smaller bits of information, allows us to get a lot longer battery life out of it. And then it's you know, it's, once again, it's designed for low cost. So we do also see where people are using the NS, you know, so the no screen, and they're trying to go with a little low cost option. If they just want an arming and disarming station, this is perfect to add to that no screen. Anything else you would add to that, Neil?
Nope, you nailed that one. Let me just get my mouse back.
I think this is super cool though, super slick.
I love IQ keypad.
I mean, that one back here over my, if you can see, it's a mock-up we did earlier, but this is a really cool device.
Yeah, I love the procs. I love how quick and responsive using the procs is on it. You know, procs has never been a big North American thing, and I have a feeling IQ keypad's going to bring a little awareness to proximity tags here. Right? They're going to, and they look good.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So just, if you can see my keypad here, there is no little circle here. So mine does not have the ability to do procs, use a little procs tag to arm and disarm it, but that one that does have the procs. So
all right,
okay,
well,
let's
just go to this.
Yeah, this is huge. The IQ Lock Power G. Once again, this is voice of the customer. You know, us listening to you. You know, hey, you've had Power G out. We love it. It works. It has its range. But could you guys put Power G into other devices? And you may have heard us talk about this. You know, Power G everywhere. And how can we expand that portfolio? And the biggest feedback was locks. We saw dealers where they would just only limit the end user to one lock just because they knew they were going to have to build out this mesh network. I was down in Houston, and I was talking to a technician. He's like, man, I got to go out on this job. It's just adding 3 locks, and look, I'm adding 3 smart plugs with those locks I'm adding. So that was before this came out. He's like, man, I can't wait for the IQ lock to come out. He's like, I wish it was a month down the road. Because main thing, we hit that great price point right where the Z-Wave locks are at, but it's making it so you don't have to worry about adding in building out that mesh network, adding in smart plugs. So incredible range, great connectivity, with that range, and then super strong, very high quality device, very easy install to program it, learn it in, and it comes with these 3 finishes. This is matte black, oil rub bronze, and then that brushed nickel. And I think that the biggest thing with these is battery life. Once again, we're using a newer, much smarter technology, and we're using a 40th, when you got that closer connectivity that you'd have with like a Z-Wave, we use what is 1/40th of the power to send those signals over, and that allows us to get a much longer battery life. We recently had a customer, Joel always brings us up, man, I had this customer, he called me up and he's like, hey, Joel, I'm wondering if the battery life indicator is reading properly on the keypad. It's like, I've had this installed for 6 months and it still says it's like 100%. And he's like, normally on the Z-Wave, and if you guys have had a Z-Wave lock, sometimes you're swapping those batteries out, every couple months, especially if it's a high used lock. So that's one of the things I'm excited about is that connectivity, the battery life, just a smarter lock. I have 3 of these in my home. Another thing you'll notice is when I go to bed at night and everything's locking down around my nighttime scene, these locks it's quiet. They just lock. It's not, you don't hear a groan throughout the house. It's just, they just lock quietly. So it's really cool device.
One thing I want to add there, Mark, is it is a little different, right? People are very used to having to learn to lock next to the panel, and then sit here and hold it for a couple minutes so it does its encryption and does its little dance. One of the great things about the the IQ Lock Power G, you install it, then you learn it in, right? So you don't have to have it next to the panel. We're not waiting for that encryption. Power G's got it built in, right? So you're not messing around. Install it, learn it in, you'll have no problems.
Yeah, you don't have to be worried about that being 4 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is available now. Now we want to talk to you about something that's coming up. What are we working on? And this is once again voice of the customer. We come out with a lock and right away it's, hey, what about a touchscreen lock? And people love these because they look clean. They're beautiful on the home. And this is going to have that exact same Power G range, the great battery life, great connectivity. Once again, very strong lock, very, very good. It's called Ian Grade 2. Once again, the easy install, and then those same finishes with the oil rub bronze, the matte black, and the satin nickel or brushed nickel. And then also on this one thing we had was this feedback that, hey, you get into homes sometimes where they have that secondary security deadbolt above their normal deadbolt, and that's one that's used with a key. And that's more, it's just to help make the house or apartment or condo more secure. And what they would run into is on the older locks, that back was too big at times, and it would kind of encroach up on that upper deadbolt. And we made this one a little shorter. It's only 5 inches up and down and more centered, so it will actually fit in between those different deadbolts. So, and this is set to come out at the beginning of the year, January 2025. But once again, a very clean, nice touchscreen. And then leading on with the Power G Everywhere and kind of the feedback we've gotten from the field is our Power G automation devices, and getting that Power G technology into lights. And so the first one we kind of launched all these at the same time. These are all available now. The first one is the IQ Switch Power G, just a great light control, you know, on and off. We have the IQ dimmer. Once again, these are all Power G. These are all, you know, hardwired, high voltage, and the IQ socket Power G that actually allows you to control the top or bottom socket separately. So those would be our, you know, high voltage options. And, you know, they've been great, you know, as far as they've launched. Customers have loved them. And then we have more of our low voltage options. And this is where a lot of dealers might run into situations where they're not able to get into that high voltage. So we have the IQ Smart Plug and the IQ Outdoor plug that has a left and a right also that you can control independently. Those are good for your holiday lights, your landscape lights. And I'll say when I got my IQ Smart Plug, that indoor one, you know, they sent me out a box, and Neil probably same thing. We got like 10 of them. Like, wow. I got to go test all these, but what was really cool was it was right before the holidays when I was testing them. So I was able to go test them with the lights in the home, the holiday lights, the Christmas tree. But I took one and I went over to my neighbor's house, 2 houses down, and he has this little stone entryway into his house. I didn't tell him this, like 2 in the afternoon, I'm working from home, and I go and I plug it in his front porch, and I run back over to my house and I go into our sensor test on the panel to see the connectivity. And it was still great. I'm like, man, this is 2 houses away. This is an indoor plug and it has great range, you know, and I'm turning it on and off. And I was like, this is incredible, because I had certain Z-Wave plugs that were in my house that I felt like only had like 15 feet of range. And I really had to build out a strong Z-Wave mesh network to get certain things to work. So even for me, landscape lights. I have some landscape lights, and I was running you know, an indoor plug outside, and it was hopping multiple times to get that to work outside. Now I was able to take my IQ Outdoor plug that in the side of my house to automate my landscape lights. So really cool options we have here. And
yeah,
we're not done.
I can't say enough about these. Like, it's been life changing. I got rid of all my Z-Waves.
Once again, these are all available now. And one thing that's cool, and I think it's worth checking out, if you have a second, go to, you know, you can look up the Qualsys, the IQ lock. And there's a really cool video that the guys up in Canada participated in. Neil was really huge in getting that done, but they went up to Niagara Falls. And, you know, one team was over on the Canadian side. They sent a group over to the American side, and they had these devices, the smart plug, the IQ lock, that Power G sign you see over Neil's head, that light, controlling it, you know, 0.6 miles away, a kilometer away over the falls. And just kind of a cool thing to show you the range. But my favorite part of these, I know we always talk about range with Power G, but is more that technology that's inside it that allows for better battery life. It just allows for connectivity, and more or less it just works. You know, you're not running into, hey, this isn't working part of the time.
It just works.
It just works. So those last ones are available now, and this is what's coming in January of 2025. So beginning of the year for 25 is, once again, voice of the customer. Right away, we release some products, and then it's, hey, what about 3-way switches? What about a 3-way switch for the light? What about a dimmer switch is 3-way? So in 2025, when this comes out, we're actually going to upgrade the IQ switch and the IQ dimmer and make them a 3-way and a 3-way dimmer. So we'll discontinue the old stock, and because these 3-way ones can be used in either scenario. So if it's just your normal, hey, I just need a light to turn on and off, I can use this. Or if it's going to be a 3-way situation, then I can get a couple of these, and it'll work. So have some options there to improve these devices.
All right, so we've talked about Power G Plus for a while, and we've been working on it, behind the scenes, so to speak. Mostly, trying to get the battery level reporting right. So that was one of, you'll actually see in 4.5 if you go into a Power G sensor test or Power G, more info on the sensor test. You'll actually see the raw battery value, right? So it's as a voltage. That's not very beneficial, right? For, to be able to be like, oh, it's 3.1 volts. So that's helpful. What does that mean? So we're pretty close to being able to release the Power G Plus devices, and we'll be able to provide, not just to, on the panel, but on alarm.com, you'll be able to proactively see what the battery status is of any of these Power G Plus devices. So you'll be able to, proactively go, hey, I'm going to Mark's house to replace this one battery. Hey, these other 3 are, 25%. Maybe I should change them while I'm there, right? So you'll have that capability along with the OTA firmware upgrades and the ability to lock your sensors, right? It's not mandatory. You don't have to use it. Some people like the idea of locking sensors to the panel. I'm not a huge fan, but everybody, some people like it, some people don't. But you will have the ability to lock those devices to your panel, and then you'll be able to unlock them, with your dealer code. You'll be able to basically unlock those devices. So, look for Power G Plus. I'd say in the next 60, 90 days to release. These are the first 6 devices. The new Power G Plus indoor PIR cam looks way better than the this is the current one. Ooh. All right.
Yeah, and that's my favorite thing about these, Neil, is the look. It's all that familiar, same family look and style of our main device.
Yeah. So, and it's not like we're lying. It's real. So these are the new. This is the new PIR cam. Then obviously the new 9945, the 9914, the 9303, the new repeater, the 9920, and then the 9922, right? The new glass break. So, look for those Power G Plus devices in the very near future. We're going to have to speed up a bit there, Mark. We got like 2 minutes left. We'll go a little minute over. Super excited that we're going to be able to release 2.10 for IQ Wi-Fi 6. We keep saying it, and I hope you hear it. Right? It's about voice of the customer. It's about feedback that we get on a product when we release it, saying, hey, it's cool, but it would be really cool if it could do this. So you'll have the ability for remote management of the administration password right on alarm.com. Lots of feedback of people wanting to hide the SSIDs. Originally, you only asked to hide one, and we decided to give you the ability to hide them all. So you can hide the main network, the guest network, the security networks. You can do all of that. There is a new web UI, totally different web UI, based on people's feedback. One of the things people wanted to see was the new, ability to visualize the mesh network and what's connected to what. That's in there. It's great. You can just highlight. You'll see green dots for good. Yellow for maybe there's a bit of a range issue, and you'll be able to highlight it and it'll show you which device. It'll say which device is, connected to that mesh that potentially is not working properly. Again, we heard the feedback about the Wi-Fi backhaul. We were only using the 5 gigahertz for the backhaul. So now we've basically given you simultaneous 2.4 and 5 gigahertz backhaul support. And then, more profile settings, better parental controls built in. And then the ability to automatically move alarm.com cameras to the security SSID. All of our IQ stuff moved automatically. The IQ panel, the IQ remotes, they moved to the security SSID by themselves. Now, when you learn in an alarm.com camera to the main network, the way you would normally do it, it'll move it to the security SSID by itself. Right? So no interaction needed. I think if you haven't used Wi-Fi 6, now is the time to start looking at it, because again, this is based on the feedback from you, the voice of your voice of what you wanted to see. We want to keep hearing it, so please give us that feedback. All right, Mark, I think we got one slide. All right, there you go.
So IQ water valve, this has been out for a while, been a great device, especially in areas where, who's had water damage? I have a couple times. Great device for hey, I detect water, I detect a leak, I can shut off my water. But the main thing we wanted to talk about here is the new Power G puck. So this is also set to come out in January of 2025. We showed this, at the show, maybe off the floor. I don't know if we had it on the floor, but it's a cool little device. Now it's just a puck, very slim. Hey, I can slide this under my dishwasher. I can slide it under my washer. And what I like about it is now you're not dealing with this cord, this wire is kind of like, hey, I'm going to mount this on the wall, and then what do I do with all this extra wire? Do I cut it? Do I splice it? Do I, shorten it, or am I just being lazy and I'm just like mounting this here and I have this big bunch of wire, which most people do. It's just, hey, I'm just hiding all this behind something. So now this is just a nice puck, and I can just slide this, put it wherever I want, put it behind the toilet, put it under a sink, and it's just Power G connection. So you got that good range. It just works. Good battery life. So this is coming out in January 2025.
Yeah, one of the cool things with the Power G puck, so when we launch, we'll launch with just the puck, but shortly thereafter, we're going to launch an accessory kit. So, again, listening to feedback and, and seeing what's in the market, we'll be able to release, there'll be two different accessory packs, we'll call it. First off, they'll have a holder, a mount, whatever you want to call it. You'll drop the puck into it. You can mount that to the wall, like Mark had said about having to mount the probes and stuff. And then you'll have two options: a probe, just like we have now, so you'll be able to use a probe directly on the Power G puck. But I think the one that's probably the most exciting is a sensing cable. So you'll have a 6 foot and a 6 foot extension, so up to 12 feet, using a sensing cable to be able to wrap around your dishwasher, wrap around your water heater, whatever the case may be. But you'll have that flexibility of puck and probe or puck and sensing cable.
Sensing cable.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. And then Mark.
So this is just the last thing I want to show here is look at all the flexibility we have. And this is kind of our DNA chart for our IQ platform, but with the IQ4, the IQ4 hub, the IQNS, we know we have the Pro and all these things we've gone over, but you have so many options here with automation, your hybrid options, all your Power G devices and what we're working to make these even better, supporting legacy devices, and then all these upgrades we've done with the accessories on the side with the Power G, IQ Remote Power G, the new Power G keypad coming out, and then all those daughter cards. So we're very excited about the future and what we're doing with the panel. Things we're still working on down the road, but it's awesome to see what we've been able to do, not only through hardware, but also software to improve these products we have.
All right, well, we're 2 minutes over. We're bad. We were like, we'll be 45 minutes, but we talk a lot. Mark, thanks so much for stepping in for Kev. He owes you. I think he should buy you a car personally, but whatever. Other than that, we'll do this draw for some water valves. We'll give some water valves away, and we really hope to see you the next 3 weeks for IQ Installer. A great deep dive with Joel on IQ Installer, and then we got Power G Automation, and we're gonna have DSC Connect, a nice, a very in-depth. An in-depth training on DSC Connect, so it'll be.
I say also next week. I say we announce who those 5 winners were, just so it's out there, so they know. Hey, these are the 5 people that won.
100%. We're not hiding, All right. Well, everybody, thanks for your time. Sorry we went over 3 minutes, but we will. We look forward to seeing you the next couple weeks, and then stay tuned. We are going to be doing a lot more webinars and getting back into the swing of it. We definitely took a break, in the first part of this year. We were busy, especially with ISC. So thanks for joining the ISC West recap, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you.